The basic premise is simple. On this world, the most powerful technology, the most powerful magic has all been under the control of this one race. They're called the Elden. And the Elden have dominated the galaxy, but now they've disappeared and they've left this world behind with everything sort of going wildly out of control. There's magic that's going wrong, there's technology going wrong. Can you spin around and take a look around the zone, for instance? So in this case, there's this blue crystal rock has been infused with magic, and it's ripping up pieces of the land out of the zone. You've got to figure out what's going on with this and why and how. And that magic rock doesn't just lift up pieces of terrain, it actually affects you so that you're lighter than air and you can super jump when you're near it. We do lots of things in the environment that kind of give you new gameplay experiences. It's because we believe in having variety. We have two basic premises that drive the game. Number one, you got to have fun right when you get in, from combat to lots of variety in the attacks you fight, with the monsters you meet, with the environments you're in, with the gameplay you have. And that's got to take you all the way up to level cap. And then at level cap, it's all Elder games. The team right now is moving from building up a lot of the leveling game and all working on making the Elder games be unique and cool and fun. So we'll have a lot of announcements actually coming up about that. Okay, so let's talk, what's this all about? Well, combat's really simple. You basically are able to shoot a spell, and you can see the lines appearing where that spell is going to go off. So this makes for an easy thing. You line up monsters, you target them just by aiming your spell at them, and bam, you deal your damage to it. Or you can affect the battleground in the area where your spell is going off. Sure. Do you have a sync cable? Jump, so if you move the environment, it'll mess up the sync a little more. You just go fly around a little bit because the more the screen changes, the more it'll.
The best thing you don't do is just playing green or stuff like that. I can see
Yeah, unfortunately, as part of the demo, we'll fly around all over the place, and so it's tricky.
I'm adjusting.
Okay. I can do special effects too by giant claw monsters reaching down and attacking. Okay, combat, really basic. Aim your spells, it affects lots of areas. And we keep it simple, the first things you learn are how to do your spells. You can hit single monsters or attack lots of monsters all at the same time. So there's kind of some strategic elements to exactly, how you're going to line up your spells, how you're going to do your damage. But monsters have the same kind of tricks that they use against you. We'll summon up a level 7 kind of semi-tough monster. Not massive dragons and stuff yet, but just the early low-level stuff. This guy eats Loftite, that same blue crystal that affects things, and there's a whole bunch of variety of attacks that they can do, ranging from they can breathe out poison gas in a cloud, and now the battlefield in that area keeps on doing damage to you, so it gets a little harder to dodge their other attacks. They burrow into the ground, and now the little seeker, they start sending crystals out to kind of attack where you're moving to, and so it gets harder and harder to sort of dodge around in the area. We like skilled in combat. We want it simple enough that new players can get it, but for us, it's all about gamers, so we're trying to make it be a challenge for you as well. And the other key to this, it's variety. It's not, it's called sometimes cigarette combat, where you can sit back in your chair and you're smoking a cigarette and you're playing with one hand. We don't like that. We actually like a game where you have to engage in combat and there's skill involved, and it's about your stats, it's about your RPG stats, but it's also about your ability to do it as a player. So I talked about interactive environments. Pretty much every area of the game has stuff you can do that's different. This, you get near Loftite, you get near that blue crystal, you're lay there in air. Now you can super jump through the area. In other areas, maybe that's super speed or poison damage that'll happen that maybe you can learn to use against monsters. But every area we show you has these kinds of things buried in the environment. There's a minefield here, and if you're smart, you can use the minefield to actually attack creatures, scare monsters into it or lure monsters into it. If you're not that smart, you step on them, you can blow yourself up as well. Lots of areas have things where if you're good as a player, you can learn to use them to your advantage. If not, they're going to hurt you a bunch. So we'll grab a monster here even and drag them back into the minefield, and it'll either weaken them or kill them so that you can, like, as a smart player, you can really use this to your advantage. Or you can just run around and scare sheep into them and blow them up, which is fun in its own right. So the whole world's kind of built around flight. And so you get flying mounts over time, epic flying mounts, but we're just going to cheat and fly through a lot because there's about 70 hours of content in the game. We're just going to blaze through as much as we can, sort of as fast as we can to show it all off. One of the key systems is called paths. This is different than race, it's different than class. It's about a play style. Some players love to explore and find all sorts of hidden areas in the game. Some are about socializing, and so we give them social quests or let them build up the quest hubs with new buildings to add to the environment. There's soldiers who are all about combat and get to do more and more fighting. About 20% of the content you do is about your chosen path. This character's an explorer, and so they have a little arrow that's leading them up to sort of this hidden spot in the hills, and then as you find out where exactly to sort of plant your flag or send up a satellite dish, it starts giving you hints about other hidden areas in the zones. You can follow a little treasure map of area to area. Where you find one spot, now it's leading you on to the next. Each path has a number of different mission types. With explorers, they can unlock hidden paths up the cliff sides to get to other areas people can't, or there's underground caverns you can kind of crawl into where you can move around in the zone faster than anyone else because this underground cavern system will sort of a very fast transport. We make it so you can do it all with your friends as well. So we'll just go run through now and show as much content as we can cram in. And so stop me if you see anything interesting that you want to go veer off and see. Otherwise, we'll just sort of blaze through. Right now we're in level 6. We'll go through up through level 10, through level 15, through level 20, and show as much as we can fit in. Over to the left. Yeah. Yeah, we tend to hide a lot of content on places like that because the either little missions for soldiers, especially ones where you can get to when you get super jump, or there's little hidden areas. If you look at the cliff over to the left, there's a whole complete little hidden subzone up at the top there where you can, if you hop over there, there's a spaceship that's crashed into a lake. You get to rise it up and it floats over, and if you can rescue it, actually improves the nearby hub that's nearby there and gives more vendors and things to it. So we like hiding that thing, and there aren't any quests that lead you there, but the lucky players who stumble onto it or discover it can do that. So good eye by sort of seeing that there's content hidden up high. We actually do even more than that, where we try to make the zones be very easy to navigate, and they're chock full of content. Just flying around, you can see things in the environment and head towards them, or your cell phone kind of calls you with new missions, new quests. Sometimes we do NPCs who have an exclamation point over their head, but often we really just want to make it so that the world is all full of stuff for you to do. In this case, there's a whole crew of monsters here, and one of the neat things about the combat system is if you're a skilled player, you can fight a whole ton of monsters at once and get a bunch more bonuses. You get double kill, triple kill, but it's harder, and you get more and more different patterns you need to dodge in and out of, and it's trickier to line all the monsters up to be able to do the most damage at the right time. So skilled players get extra XP rewards for this, or they get extra buffs in combat for fighting really fast, for fighting really efficiently. And so the same kind of thing works as a newbie. You might fight one at a time. As a skilled player, you pull all sorts of stuff, fight as fast as you can, you get challenges, you get rewards, you find hidden stuff in the environment. If you're a stealth class, maybe you sneak in here and set off the fireworks chest, now it starts blowing up everything in the area. The world's kind of just full of content everywhere. We call it layered content, where there's all these little different systems piled on top of each other. Some are dynamics, so they change. Some of them are static, so they're always there when you go there. But the real goal is to make it feel like there's always variety. Moment to moment, it's different looks to the area around you. There's different gameplays in each area. And that even applies to crafting. You get your first, this is maybe a level 8, level 10 town. You get your first trade skills in there. And we try to add variety even to those. So if you're a miner, you see rocks in the world, you can attack them, and little pieces of ore fly off. But randomly, sometimes, it turns out it's on the back of a monster, and the little bug will get up and run away, and you have to chase after it to kind of grab all the loot off it. Or there's a 1% chance that a giant boss will roar up out of the ground, and it turns out you pissed off this giant monster instead of, you thought you were just going to bang on a rock and get a little gold, and this guy pops up. And it's a tough fight, and we do this for a couple of reasons. One is variety for the players. So now all of a sudden you have a brand new fight you need to do that maybe you weren't expecting, and it's got different tactics. It's summoning in different little monsters to attack you. pieces of ore will fly off all these, so you actually get to collect a lot of rocks while you do it. And then beyond that, it makes it hard for people to just, go through life and like you click on the mining thing and a little bar goes up. No, we want more than that. We want to have the chance for sort of adventure to happen at any time. It also makes it tougher for people to bot it, you know what I mean? You see all those guys running around just like little robots, like mining everything. It's very hard making a robot that can fight giant boss monsters that pop up out of the ground. And it's fun for you as a player because the rewards are better too for fighting this sort of stuff. Nice fight. Next milestone, actually, you're going to be able to jump in his mouth and run around his stomach and gather even more ore, but we haven't tied that in yet. We still develop stuff. So let's head up to the area up ahead. Each area kind of has big stuff that's going on in it. We try to make it as interactive as possible. In the area up ahead, there's a strip mine, and they've dug up something they didn't expect with a giant robot. We try to do these things to sort of pull you in from a distance away by showing you the neat gameplay that might be going on in an area. And we make them interactive as well. In this case, you can make up a cannon and damage him, do damage to him, but he also gets annoyed and he'll shoot out laser beams in the area that damage the environment, that damage the monsters, that can damage you. So it's not just about big pretty things, but it's ones that you actually get to change the gameplay in the area around it. And if he behaves nicely, he's not a demo piece, he's just a part of content that does it. So when he gets annoyed, he'll blast the ground and sort of damage everything with it. It makes fighting around him a lot of fun, because initially you're trying to dodge out and just not get damaged. Eventually you want to predict where he's going to shoot, start leading monsters into it, and have him actually help you out. And he's a raid monster. You end up fighting him again at level 60. But we introduced these guys, he's level 10 in this area right now. We introduced these so that later on those will pay off in the high-level gameplay. I'll talk about that in one of the later zones where one of the goals we have for solo players is to be able to introduce all these story elements and then really just build on them and build on them and build on them for the solo player.